Hey everyone, Merry Christmas and welcome to another gtaonline speedrun guide for the Agents of Sabotage DLC. In this one I'll be covering the Project Breakaway file, showing you some strats that you can use to complete the file as fast as possible. Fortunately, I think Project Breakaway is actually the easiest speedrun out of the files. It's just very straightforward and there's not a whole lot of strats that you can really use to save time to the degree of, say, the fine art file where we had that fast travel tactic. It's much more generalized this time. So for the setup missions, you don't have to do these in any specific order like I suggested for the fine art file, so feel free to start with whichever one you want. But what I do is I just start with the RC car mission, and for this one, you just have to head over to the destination to drive the RC Bandito. Also, it should not be a surprise, but we're using the Mark II Oppressor for these missions because it's just a really fast way to get around, it can stop on the dime, and it's overall just the best vehicle for these speedruns. When you're in the RC car, you'll have a few different locations you can go to find the Eberhard truck to hack, but just go to the closest one. That's always worked for me, and finding the truck should be rather easy. It's a bigger style of truck. If you are having trouble though, just look at the direction that the circle is going. That gives you an idea of the direction the truck is driving in. You'll then have to hack the truck, which is actually kind of a pain because you have to be right up on it with hardly any space between it. Otherwise, you have to restart the hack. And after the truck opens up, you just have to ramp the Bandito up into it, and the mission is complete once you leave the area. For the thermal charges setup, this is a two-step mission. You have to first go to the post-op depot, and the game doesn't tell you directly where the delivery list is once you arrive at the depot. It gives you a search area, but it's easy enough to find on your own. It's just this little office building. And it's always going to be on one of the desks in here. There's a bunch of enemies guarding it. It doesn't really matter if you do the stealthy or a loud approach. They don't really damage you that much. I should also mention that you can skip phone calls from Jody by pressing the left and right analog sticks at the same time, as if you were doing one of the in-game emotes, the same button combo there. But the next part of the mission is you stealing the thermal charges themselves. The front of the warehouse will have a bunch of enemies guarding it. Just blow them up with some missiles and head inside where there will be a few more enemies to take out. And the thermal charges will either be on the desk from Ryan we're here, or in the cabinet behind the desk. And from there you just have to deliver them to the garment factory. And now for our final mission, the Encryption Bypass. You have to break into an apartment building. It's not always going to be the same location every time, but just using your Mark II Oppressor, or any flying vehicle for that matter, it's not going to make a big difference with how fast you do the mission. In the apartment, you have to find the keypad, which will let you access the basement. And the hack to get into the basement is not a new one, it's just the one where you have to time the lines with the gaps. Once you get access to the basement, there will be a few enemies down there to take out, but it's super easy. And the malware is just in one of the servers. If you get close enough, it'll just mark it on your map too, which is very nice. Upon exiting the apartment, you'll need to take out the agent escaping in his Kavos, and for the photograph, you don't even have to get off the bike for this. Just get up next to it and maybe zoom in a little bit and take the picture and it should work, but it also depends on how the body ends up landing. I've even had it where one time the body fell out of the vehicle and I didn't notice it for a while, so I was taking pictures of the burning car when really the guy's body was just sitting on the ground, but that's only happened once. Anyways, from there, the final step is just to head back to the garment factory once again. Which brings us to the finale. First, let's go over the challenges that you will want to do to increase your payment. You have to locate Project Breakaway in 5 minutes. Super easy. Get 15 headshots. Also very, very easy. And recover black books and server blades. All these challenges are basically a given if you know how to do the mission. So starting out using the Mark II and the Trackify app, locating Project Breakaway in 5 minutes is just, like I said, a given. You'll likely find it in just a minute's time using the Mark II Oppressor. When you do get to that mission location though, instead of just blasting enemies with the Mark II Oppressor, since we do need 15 headshots, we're actually going to hop off the bike and kill them with our gun, aiming for headshots in the process. But even if you don't headshot every single enemy here, it's not the end of the world because there are more enemies that will spawn later. When all the enemies are dead, head over to the door and get ready to hold down right on the D-pad to control the RC Bandito again. And the path that you can take with the Bandito in here is just left, and you'll be right at the gas pumps.
The room should clear.
Inside Project Breakaway near the computer, enemies will spawn in at each side. Be careful here because the enemies can rapid fire you. It's happened to me. However, even if you do get rapid fired, it's not really a huge deal because dying doesn't really matter in these missions. But do remember to aim for the head for the challenge because you need those headshots. Now, you have to plug in the malware device and hack the terminal with a Wordle style hack. I've done this more times than I can count now, and the only 3 words that I've ever seen as the password are dough, brass, and money. And all of those words have letters that are independent from the other words. So if you see a D amongst the letters, then you know it's dough, for example. Waiting for the malware to upload is very slow. They have like internet from 20 years ago, I guess, even though you're working for the FIB. And so you'll have a few waves of enemies that spawn in ahead of time to pad your headshot count. So after the hack begins, immediately turn around and face the door where 3 enemies will spawn in. They'll start shooting you before they're even fully spawned in, which is kind of trippy. So you'll just be getting shot by a partially invisible guy. And one of them will try to take cover behind the box, which is very annoying, especially if you're trying to headshot him. But ultimately, this part is simple. Just try to headshot the enemies if you still need headshots. When the malware is uploaded, you will need to plant thermal charges on 3 different doors, and it's always the same 3. Facing the exit door, place 1 on the first door on the left. Then on the second door on the right side. And finally, the door closest to the exit on the left where the hard drives are. And don't worry about taking slight damage from the gas on your way to that final charge placement. But while the charge is working on the hard drive doors, head over to the first door you planted and take the server blades. Then go to the second door and take the black books. And then finally take the hard drive main objective last, as it's the one closest to the entrance and exit. Now all that's left to do is escape. If you still need headshots, there are more enemies out here that spawn in, but if you already know you're at 15, you can just run to your bike or whatever vehicle you wish and head to the drop-off point. Much like the fine art file, it will take you around 15 to 16 minutes to get this done fully, but I still think this one is easier overall just because in order to get that time on the fine art file, we had to use a specific strat, whereas this one, the strats are a lot more generalized. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, feel free to leave a like as well as subscribe to my channel for more GTA Online content. I also want to give a huge shout out to all of my channel members for your support. If you'd like to become a member for some exclusive perks, you can either use the join button or the link that's down in the description. And as always, thanks for watching and have a great day.